Will the government commit to urgently deporting all guilty foreign nationals involved, including family members who were aware of the crimes and therefore complicit? Wives, sisters, mothers, cousins, if they knew and said nothing, these individuals are just as guilty as the rapists themselves. Will the government commit to stripping citizenship from dual nationals implicated and deport them as well? Race or religion must protect nobody.
The British public has been asking for answers on the grooming gang scandal for years. But today in Parliament, when those questions were finally asked with the bluntness they deserve, the response wasn't, "Here are the facts." The response was an attempt to silence the speaker based on tone. Today I'm looking at the exchange between Rupert Lowe and the Labour front bench. We're going to look at why, in a chamber built for debate, simple questions about justice are being treated like social taboos. Is our government actually interested in justice, or are they more concerned with protecting their own sensibilities? Let's peel back the curtain.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Given that the opposition amendment has been accepted, I'm not going to stand here and outline my disgust at what has happened with regard to the historic grooming gang scandal. The British people want answers, so I'm going to ask questions of the Labour Party and several of them. Will the government commit to urgently deporting all guilty foreign nationals involved, including family members who were aware of the crimes and therefore complicit? Wives, sisters, mothers, cousins, if they knew and said nothing, these individuals are just as guilty as the rapists themselves. Will the government commit to stripping citizenship from dual nationals implicated and deport them as well? Race or religion must protect nobody. Will the government commit to pausing all Pakistani visas and foreign aid into the country until the Pakistani government agrees to accept any of its deported citizens that have perpetrated these crimes on British soil, and also imprisons these rapists and their accomplices in Pakistan, however they see fit? Will the government undertake a full investigation into officials who had knowledge of these crimes yet failed to act? Establish a specified task force to root out this victim.
Look at the laundry list of questions Lowe presented. Deportation status, state benefits, the protection of vulnerable children, the potential for lifelong sentences. These aren't just strong words. These are fundamental inquiries into state performance and public safety. The fact that the response to such a detailed evidence-seeking inquiry was an immediate pivot to disgust at the language is the defining moment of this clip. It reveals exactly what happens when the bureaucracy is challenged. They don't reach for data, they reach for moral superiority to shut down the line of questioning. We see this same pattern in our investigations into the tax gap and corporate tax avoidance. Whenever the state is confronted with a systemic failure that they have been too slow or too incompetent to solve, they deflect. By framing the tone as the problem, they effectively shield themselves from the substance. They aren't just avoiding a tough conversation. They are signaling that they view the public's demand for accountability as a nuisance rather than their primary job description.
Will the government undertake a full investigation into officials who had knowledge of these crimes yet failed to act? Establish a specified task force to root out this wicked evil. Don't just fire these vile individuals, prosecute them. How many girls are estimated to have been raped? Is there a tally for the overall number of rapes? Horrifyingly, it may well be in the millions. We just don't know. How many vulnerable young girls are estimated to still be involved in these gangs? If there is no estimate figure, why not? Will a regular update be published detailing ongoing prosecutions and sentencing? Will the government publish a full nationality breakdown of those convicted for such offences, along with the location of their crimes? How many known foreign rapists per town, per region? Will they publish a breakdown of the immigration status of those involved? On what grounds were they in the UK? Do they have previous convictions? How many foreign nationals found guilty have been released but not deported? And how many re-offences... I'm going to carry on if that's right. How many re-offences have occurred since release? How many of these monsters are walking on the same streets as the girls they raped and abused? One report suggested a victim had come face to face with her rapist in the supermarket. Is the government comfortable with that? How many of the foreign rapists were in receipt of any form of state benefit?
Would the honourable member give
I'm going to carry on if that's right. How many released currently receive any state benefit? How many children have been born following a rape from these men? How many have been given access to the child against the mother's wishes? And how many have used the child as a route to remain in the UK? Will the government commit to preventing this in future? How many deportations have been blocked due to the rapist's right to a family life or other ECHR influences? Will the government set up a dedicated, confidential and accessible official process for whistleblowers to safely raise their concerns regarding foreign rape gangs, ensuring it is safe, secure and easy to find? Will the government release all court transcripts relating to these cases so the British people can understand just part of the horror for themselves? How many of these documents have been hidden due to the cost of release? This should not be an obstacle to transparency on these trials. Will lifelong sentences now be considered for those British citizens involved in the crimes, but also those in positions of power who acted to cover up the scale of the abuse? Which politicians, local and national, had knowledge of these events but failed to act? Again, going as far as to actively conceal what was truly happening. These are the facts that the British people want to know and the British people deserve to know. All of these questions have also been submitted in written form, and I look forward to receiving open and transparent answers. The mass rape of young white working class girls by gangs of Pakistani rapists is a rotting stain on our nation. This is not about Elon Musk. This is not a bandwagon of the far right. This is about the victims and ensuring swift and brutal justice is delivered to those demons responsible. It is about distinguishing between right and wrong.
I feel disgusted by what the honourable gentleman has just said. Can you imagine if you're a victim or survivor listening to that? I'm sure his intent is to get to the truth and get justice. But the language, please think about who hears our words.
If we accept that there are certain questions simply too offensive to ask in the House of Parliament, we aren't just losing our ability to have a fair, open debate. We are systematically dismantling our ability to hold this government to account. Think about the precedent this sets. If the state is allowed to hide behind tone or language as a convenient shield to avoid discussing the massive systemic failures that led to the abuse of thousands of vulnerable girls, then the system isn't just flawed, it's fundamentally broken. They are prioritising their own comfort over the truth, and they are prioritising their political optics over the lives that were destroyed. I'm Beckett Morgan, and this is The High Grounds. We don't shy away from these uncomfortable realities because, quite frankly, someone has to keep the light on the corners of government where they least want it to shine. We are here to bridge the gap between what the establishment tells us and what the evidence actually says. If you believe that it's time to stop worrying about offence and start demanding actual, brutal and transparent answers from those who claim to serve us, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. The status quo survives on silence, so don't stay quiet. Keep demanding the truth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.